Hello everybody, this is AK. I'm back. So for those of us who are buying T-bills, the last 1 year T-bill auction was a disappointment, right? Right, the cutoff yield came in at 3.45% per annum, and I didn't take part in that T-bill auction because I'm mostly interested in building a T-bill ladder using 6 months T-bill. Right, regular readers would know that. So every 2 weeks I would buy 6 months T-bills, and of course the money comes back 6 months later. So if you do that every 2 weeks, then every 2 weeks you have money coming in. And of course I have made a video and I've also blogged about how to build a T-bill ladder and how we can place sensible bids if we are using CPF OA funds. But of course, when I buy 6 months T-bills to build my T-bill ladder, I'm actually using cash, only cash, right? Because it is money that I can use. All right, if I need to use the money, it's money that I can use, right? So, and in the event of Mr. Market going into depression, I could dismantle the ladder every 2 weeks. Right, the money comes back, I go and buy stocks instead of buying a new T-bill. Right, so that's how I would dismantle the T-bill ladder if Mr. Market should go into a depression. Right, so of course I bought 1 year T-bill before, and that was about a year ago. Right, that was quite good. I mean, it had a cutoff yield of 3.87% per annum, and that matures today, 30th of January 2024. Right, and because it matures at the end of the month, I'll of course make the transfer back into my CPF OA, like say by tomorrow, but the money would only go back into my CPF OA within 3 business days. So I would possibly lose an additional month of CPF OA interest. So I'll lose 2 months of CPF OA interest instead of one, and which means the break even for that T-bill would be 2.92% per annum. Right, so I'm getting almost 1% additional interest on that CPF OA money that I used to buy that 1 year T-bill, and that additional interest amounts to like something like $6,000. Right, it's quite a lot because I bought more than $600,000 worth of T-bill, right, of that 1 year T-bill. So that's why I said before that unless we are using quite a substantial amount of money, right, using our CPF OA money, the difference is not going to be a big deal, right, in dollar terms, because the CPF OA pays 2.5% per annum, right? So it's not going to be a big difference in dollar terms, right, if the sum is pretty small, right? So I blog about how I'm going to use the returning funds, to buy a 6 months T-bill that's happening middle of February, right? And how I would place a bid for competitive bid at 3.5% per annum, because I think that makes sense. Because then the difference between leaving the money in the OA and buying the 6 months T-bill would be meaningful. Right? I mean, if the difference is going to be like a few $100s, frank, I mean, for some people they will still think, yeah, it's a few $100s, but it just doesn't excite me lah. It's not interesting to me, right? It's not interesting to me. But of course, regular readers know that I strongly believe in the CPF system, right? And I believe that it is a good habit to sock away some money consistently, right? I believe in saving money, right? We never know what could go wrong in life, and having some savings, substantial savings, is very comforting, right? And Of course, don't just save money lah. I also say that we should put our money to work. But if we are saving money, we want to have that money work harder for us as well. It's not just when we're investing money, we are making the money work harder. We can also save money and make the money work harder for us. So parking money in the CPF, when the interest rates were very low, right, made very good sense because the CPF paid much higher interest rates. Right, 2.5% compared to 0.1% or 0.05% per annum, right, was very good. But when interest rates are much higher, right, in today's environment, right, 2.5% per annum is pretty decent too in Singapore, right? Still, we would like to have higher returns where possible, right? From instruments with the same risk profile, because CPF is risk-free, volatility-free. So we have to compare apples with apples. So you say, we can get more than 2.5%, 3.5%, 4% from T-bills, which is also risk-free and volatility-free. Why not, right? So that was why I bought a one-year T-bill, the CPF OA funds, about a year ago, right? And for those who are interested in finding out about break-even cut-off yields, right, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below to a blog that has done a good job in explaining why 2.92%, why 3.33%, that kind of thing, right? I mean, if you're interested in the details, right? If T-bills pay significantly higher interest, higher yields, right, it makes sense to deploy the money from CPF OA. It's just that we have to monitor and make sure that we transfer the money from the CPF IA back to the CPF OA when it matures. Otherwise, the money will just sit in our CPF IA in the bank for 2 months before the bank automatically do the transfer. So we'll lose additional 2 months plus 1 month, so 3 months of interest from CPF OA if we did nothing and let the bank automatically transfer the money back into our CPF OA, right? And I also bought another T-bill CPF OA funds and left only about 20K, which is the minimum in the CPF OA, and that is maturing in March. But that's a much smaller sum. That's a much smaller sum. So the plan now is that when I turn 55 years old, after setting aside the full retirement sum in the newly created retirement account and locking up the basic healthcare sum in the MediSave account, the rest of my CPF savings will become my emergency fund, since I can withdraw the money anytime I want, right, by then. So I'll be turning 55 pretty soon. In 2026 I'll be 55, right? So it's just a couple of years away. It's quite fast. And when my CPF savings become my emergency fund, that would free up my existing emergency fund, which will become part of my war chest. Once my existing emergency funds, regular readers know that it covers 24 months of expenses for my parents and myself. So it's quite a substantial amount of money, and it'll be a significant boost to my war chest. So I'm quite happy today because the years of planning and patient execution is paying off. I mean, it has paid off in many ways, but it's still paying off, right? So it's not just about my investment portfolio and my passive income generation from my investments on a yearly basis, but my plans when it comes to saving money in the CPF is paying off as well, right? So it's all about staying grounded and plodding towards that pot of gold that we know is waiting for us at the end of the journey, right? And being prudent with money, being patient, and being pragmatic, right? So if AK can do it, so can you. Bye-bye.